Hi, my name is Linda. I recently lost my mom to breast cancer. My mother name was Jennipher Myers, and she got married. Her name was Jennipher Myers Isaac. My mom was a hard-working individual. She had 5 of us, and we were her entire life. She do anything, whatever it takes, to make sure that her family can survive. It wasn't easy for her because as a single mom raising 5 kids without a proper educational background, she has to pull a lot of strings so that we could just go on a daily basis. I remember my mom sometimes had to do washing of clothes for the neighbors so that we could get dinner and like lunch money for the day. I attend Melrose All Age, where we used to live in Crescent Road, that's off Lindos Road. So I can remember at one point I was on morning shift, and sometimes we have to come home for lunch, you know, because sometimes she don't have the lunch money, so she send us ahead and say, all right, look here, come back for lunch. That's the type of person my mom was. So growing up as a child with her, it wasn't easy, because with a mom that don't have any support financially and spiritually, it wasn't easy.
My aunt, Jennipher Myers Isaac, who was a victim of breast cancer, but not just only breast cancer, she also had colon cancer. Growing up as a child, I remember my auntie, she was more on the quiet side. She wasn't the auntie to fuss, to argue, and mark my family is very loud. We're a family who is fun. When we get together, it's always a party, it's always a link up, even if it's just a visit to a family yard, it always seems like a party. And we love to cook and we love to eat. Yeah, we love food. So it always has something to do with food and vibes and joy and laughter. But she was always on the quiet side. She never make nothing bother her. Even though she struggled raising her kids and managed the life she lived, you know. And she had 5 kids. 1 girl. I mean, I rose among thorns, because she was the only girl, and I wasn't as close to that cousin when I was a kid, but as I grew into age and adolescence, I became closer to that cousin. We were inseparable.
But I still give God thanks for the life that she provided for me, because it didn't really make me a bad person. In fact, it helps me to become the woman that I am today. So I'm not really, you know, saying that it was all bad, but she do what she have to do.
It is a sickness that a number of persons here in Jamaica and across the world have. There are some persons who, yes, they feel it's demon, but from a scriptural standpoint and from a medical standpoint, cancer is one of the sickness that persons have, just like any other sickness.
I remember when she came home and told me that she felt something in her arm, like a lump in her arm. That's where it first started, I remember, when she said it to me. And then she went to the Cancer Society where they did some tests. And I remember I went with her and one of those tests, when she went there to do one of those tests, and when I went with her and she was there waiting and we were just talking about a lot of stuff. And she got the paper that she had to take back to our personal doctor. But I didn't went with her on that day. But I remember when she took back the paper to her personal doctor. And then I remember when she came home and she said, the doctor told her it's cancerous. At that time when she told me that it was cancerous, I believe in God in some points. I was putting my faith. I said, listen, it's good that them catch it at a tender stage. I was there encouraging her, letting her know, okay, for them catch it at a tender stage. So the next step, we'll find out it is cancer. What's the next step? And she were telling me that her doctor was suggesting that she take off the whole entire breast. So I said, well, you don't really need the breast, so let it go. So that was it when she decided that to do that, as our doctor has instructed her to do. So after she did that major operation, I can't remember the first time when I went to the hospital to visit her, after she did the operation of removing the breast. And when I went there, it wasn't a pleasant sight to see her with one of our breasts in that condition in the hospital. It wasn't a good sight, but I was a little bit happy that better she not have the breast, but you have her, so it wasn't anything. But after she did the surgery, she had a little struggle of, you know, coping to live with the one breast as a female, because we know as female our breast is part of our attraction or sexual, you know. So it was a little bit difficult for her at that point to get over it. So I watched her on a daily basis struggle to get over that, where I remember she gets a false breast. It feels more like a silicone feeling, where she placed one in the brassiere, and she also put a rag as a part. She always have a rag in there with the silicone breast. So, you know, sometimes he come around like a joke with her and touch up the breast and say, "Hey, Jen, it looks stiff." She tried to run me from her. From me, man, and left me alone and then look at something there. But gradually she get over. She knows it wasn't her life that she lost, it's just the breast, and the fight goes on. So that was it with her at that point, with dealing with that point after losing her breast.
When I got the news that she had breast cancer, I thought in my head that, okay, she'll overcome this because her grandmother had it twice. And she survived, you know. So breast cancer, all right, an easy thing. She's going to get over it and she's going to go through the ropes and we're going to pass this. And she did her surgery. I wasn't quite sure. I wasn't quite sure of the events leading up to the surgery, because for me, I'm a runner when it comes to close friends, family, whoever. As long as you're close to me, once I hear that you're sick and it's detrimental, I run, because I don't know how to face you. I don't know how to deal with it. I don't know how to operate in a sense of, okay, I'm going to lose you or I might lose you. So I am a runner. And I remember when my mother called me and said to me, "You hear the news?" I said, "What news?" And she said to me, say, "Boy, I'm not supposed to tell you, you know, because the auntie say, I'm not to tell you and my next cousin named Tanisha," and my mother tell me anyway, because I'm very pressed in. So I pressed my mother to tell me, and she said to me, say, "Jenny have cancer, you know, in the colon. It moved now to the colon, and because she survived the breast cancer, you know, and but she's a hard worker. She continues to work. She works. I mean, it's a family thing because the only thing we know how to do is to work. So I could understand, I could relate to her working all the time. And back to mommy telling me that she had cancer and it moved to the colon, and where they can't save her no more. I hide from my auntie's house. When I shared with friends what was happening to me, because I took work for it, and at that time I was at a stage in my life where it was downhill for me. So I was looking at life like everything going wrong. What else can, God do to make it go wrong again, you know? And when I spoke to friends about my aunt's illness, they usually said to me, say, Ali, I better you see her than run from her, because you never know when you might lose her.
A good diet or a healthful diet is important for so many things in the prevention of so many of the chronic nutrition-related diseases, and cancer is one of them. Now, that cannot completely prevent cancer. We're not even sure exactly what causes all cancers, and cancers can be quite different. But we know that perhaps 30–40% of cancers could be prevented with better diet.
She never really normally do a routine checkup on her breasts. Even at one point she said it to me, she said, look, listen, do your pap smear, do your mammogram, because she regret the fact that she did not follow up on those basically things as a female. But in my mother life, I feel the reason why she didn't keep up with that. I'm not saying it is an excuse, because it is not an excuse for us to check up on our health, because once your life is gone, it's gone. And without good health, we don't really have a life, basically. So your health must be your first priority. But just imagine a lady who has 5 kids and have to deal with 5 kids on her own. So basically it's like the struggle was more than where she could keep up with a proper routine on her check, and then the money too, it's very expensive sometimes. So we would have used the terms I say, hand to mouth, as you get her money, it done. That was basically her daily life, hand to mouth, where as she get the pay, so sometimes the demands is higher than what the pay could go up to. So I kind of did understand, but I'm not using it as an excuse. But I think that was one of our reasons for not, able to check up on it, to do that regular checkup as a female, to keep up with it because of our financial struggles.
We wouldn't consider sickness as a demon. But if we consider sickness as a demon, it means if you are sick with your eye, you have hearing problem, if you are dumb, if you have a heart condition, just to name a few. If you have high blood pressure, would you say that's demon? No. It is just a person's, once you were born to a man and woman, and I want you to note what I just said. If you were born to a man and a woman, because that's the only way you can be born. And those who are listening would maybe imply my saying born to a man and a woman. You are going to be sick if you live long enough. And there are persons who, even in their young age, they are sick. There are some people who are born with certain sicknesses, even children. And as you develop, as you get older, there are certain things that are going to happen to a person. Interestingly, cancer goes across the ages. a young child can have cancer, a person in their teen, a person in their young adult, and in their older ages. And because we are talking about cancer, I thought I would indicate it spreads across the different age group. It not just spread across the age group, but it's spread across different, whether you're white, whether you are my color, whether you're Indian or you're Chinese, whether you're Russian or you're Canadian, across the world, cancer being a disease, persons have it. And so I just introduced that it goes across age, it goes across country, it goes across nationality. And I know that there are those who would love to term it as a demon, but there's no way you could take cancer to be a demon. And it is against that background that, like any sickness, we have to depend on doctors to treat it.
Well, you should really be guided by your oncologist. Your oncologist is a specialist who, what should I say, treats cancer. Usually with a diagnosis of cancer, there is a team approach. There will be the oncologist, there may be your GP, your nutritionist, your radiation specialist, any number of people involved. The oncologist really, I would think, is the person, or if you've done surgery, because for instance, if we're talking about breast cancer, a major part of the treatment for breast cancer may be a mastectomy or a lumpectomy. And that is usually the person who does that surgery who will determine when it's safe for you to do exercise. What we know is that exercise helps in the prevention of cancer, or we might say reducing your risk of getting breast cancer, any cancer, but in particular breast cancer. But as to how much exercise you should do and when you should begin, that usually is determined by your oncologist, your surgeon.
It was close to her birthday. That was when she was getting real bad. Because as the days go by, she lose feeling in different areas of her body. She can't remember stuff. I remember her feet got so cold. When my cousin telling me, say, hey, she don't have no feeling in her foot, you know. I was like, man, I muscle up the strength to come and visit my auntie. And on my way here, because I didn't come on her birthday, and I came the day after her birthday and looked for her. And I tell you, how I saw my aunt was very emotional. She wasn't the Auntie Jenny I know, who when I would roll up and get her a surprise visit, she would say, hey, I don't have no food, you know, so I don't know where you are going now, you know. Or, hey, the thief are coming out, so put up the things, you know. Because I always try to take something. I'll take a brassiere from her, I'll take something from her, you know. So she like, the thief are coming out, so put up the things them, you know. And she like say, you come lick head with this one now. But God would know what to do with the two of you know. She'll always say some little cheeky stuff, and it was always in pure fun and laughter. And when I saw her that day on the bed, I was like, I really my auntie this? And I left. The following day I came because I muscle up the strength now, because I said, all right, cool. I go she I go now left, you know. Even though I had that in my mind, but in the forefront of my head, I was like, all right, prayer can save my auntie. And the hardest me praying in my life, I think that was the first time my family see me or hear me praying out loud.
Doctors are researching and they are trying to see what is it they can do in order to get rid of the cancer. And you would know that they use different things. Some people get treatment where they have to get radiation and all of that. But some persons feel, I don't want to go that route because some of them let their ear drop off, you know, some of them, because what happened is that the treatment, one of the cell got, you know, when you do it, the treatment don't know which one is the red or the white blood cell. So it just kills the cells. And so I'm not a medical doctor, but I have done enough reading to know and experience, and I've had persons who I know who have had cancer. And that cancer is not one of those sickness persons want to have. When I was small, there used to talk about the big C, cancer. Once you get cancer, it's like a life sentence, and that death is going to happen. But there are some persons who have lived longer than usual. I know individuals who have breasts, have lost both breasts, and they have been living for the last, 15 years. Yet they lost it to cancer. And there are some persons who have cancer have come in their body, and in a short period of time, they go. I have relatives who have passed on. And I would dare say almost every person in Jamaica would have known somebody who died from cancer.
One of the things that we know is that being overweight, being obese, those fat cells, they're not just there, they're secreting inflammatory, let's say proteins, which contribute to the development of cancer cells. Now, sugar in and of itself, there's been a lot of talk that you need to cut all sugar out of your diet, but it's just not that simple. Somebody with a reduced appetite who has lost a lot of weight may need some sugar in the diet just to ensure that they have enough calories to keep them, to keep their body nutritionally sound and ensure that they're getting a balanced, healthy diet. We certainly don't want a lot of sugars. There are enough sugars in things like fruits and so on. So we don't want a lot of added sugars, but that's part of the general health message for just good health.
The hardest part for her was with the chemotherapy. That put a lot of strain on her. I watched her go through the chemotherapy. She broke down physically and spiritually. At some point, she feel like she couldn't take it anymore. I'm trying to remember, oh my God, I remember one day I went with her one night. Oh my God, it was the longest. She was there from 9 o'clock in the morning, and we did not leave until 12 o'clock in the night. I watched ladies there that they have to keep just there waiting for hours for one person to get attended to by the Kingston Public Hospital. There were ladies there with their husband, there were ladies there with their son, there were ladies there with their friend. And when there was a liquid that they injected my mom, and I asked her, how does it feel? She turned to me and said, it feels like it was just pure ice running all over her body. I was there at one point when they give it to a lady. She passed out literally. She was gone. Some of them, when they get one of the drugs, because there's different types of drugs. I don't quite remember everything about it because it was such a long time with the chemotherapy. And when they injected it in her and she started to speak to her husband like she was hallucinated. Her husband, I could see the panic on the husband's face. He was trying to get her back, but the doctor said, leave her, it's just the drugs taking effect. So I remember that one point when I go with her to that particular chemotherapy. But she has to go through several of them, a lot of them. But at that point with the breast cancer, they used to inject it in her, and it's to stay there till they I think she have to do around 4 different types of liquid they have to inject in her hand for that one particular day. she have the aggressive one. When they find it in one point, it removes to the next organ. So the type of job that my mom used to do was work in the kitchen. So she was supposed to stay away from any form of eat after she removed that breast. So what do I think? She started working back in the kitchen, doing that mass cooking, that large quantity of cooking where she's around the fire for like from 5 in the morning to 6 in the evening. So by doing, I used to tell her, Mommy, quit the work, quit the work, quit the work, leave the work, you're working too hard, leave the work. But you cannot tell her anything when it comes out to her independence. She loved doing, she loved feeling independent, like she's responsible for herself. So after the cancer, the colon cancer mimic itself like gas. She always have this gas problem, and we keep taking her to the hospital. They said it was gastro. She take up gas. They always say that is gas when she go to the hospital and stuff like that. So when I read up about it, the colon cancer can mimic itself like you have gas. So it comes back, jogs back to my memory now. So all those times when she was going to the hospital thinking that it was gas, it was the colon cancer now coming on. So I was away when she took sick. I wasn't here. But my daughter was here with her at that point because she wasn't going to doctor. She wasn't getting any treatment because she didn't aware that it was a colon cancer at this stage that she was at. So my daughter called me and said that she went into the bathroom and found my mom on the floor, and I immediately make some calls because I was overseas. I wasn't here. So I recently make some calls, and my cousin get somebody to come for her and took her to the hospital. So they were running tests on her. And when I came back to Jamaica now, when I came back, she was here, but she had some tests to do and stuff like that, so she get those tests done, and then they realized that there was a mass in the small intestine. And they wanted to do a surgery to remove the mass. That was what the doctors recommended, that they do a major surgery to remove the mass.
The reduction in appetite or poor appetite, very often if you have been diagnosed with cancer, that becomes even more critical in the management of cancer when you're going through treatments such as chemotherapy, sometimes radiation therapy. Your appetite can change, and that is a very important role for the nutritionist to help that person recovering from cancer, to make sure that they're eating a healthful diet, just as I said just now, that type of diet, but paying attention to things like reduced appetite, nausea, vomiting. Sometimes there's anemia. Take, for instance, colon cancer. There is often bleeding, and the person can become very anemic. We always pay close attention to, especially women, postmenopausal women, who suddenly become anemic and they're not trying to, an unexplained iron deficiency anemia. And this is where your nutritionist can help you, so that you eat foods which are a good source of iron, and not just a good source of iron, but help you to have foods which help you to absorb iron.
People always say in Jamaica, if you have money, you can't live. Going to public with my mom with cancer, I remember one time I went to her. She was in so much pain. She was having eye fever. She was in so much pain. I was so fearful that morning. I thought, this was it. There's a lot of things was going through my mind. And when we reach around in the trauma part where they deal with cancer patients, they basically deal with patients who have that stage 4 cancer liver. Doctor in there, she was not sensitive at all. So she understands what the patients are going through, but she wasn't sensitive at all to the whole entire situation, because she was working there and she had a young doctor that she was instructing on what to do when they came with the patient. And when he went around to her and he said to her, this patient here, she's feeling pain, she's having fever, and she was like, what did she expect when she's at stage 4 cancer? That was her. I was like, what? I walked out immediately, because they said at public you should speak to the doctor then with care if you want them to look at you, which I don't believe, but I stepped out because I didn't want to go lose it in there at that moment on her, because just imagine your mom going through that. The doctor who you took her to should be a little bit more sensitive and said, okay, Miss Myers, we're going to do this, or we're going to give her this, or whatever. That was our response. What do you expect with a patient that is at stage 4 cancer? Don't she expect that she's going to go through this, she's going to go through that? I think you only go through stage 4 cancer at least probably one time in your life. It's not something that normally repeats itself. So nobody will be prepared what to expect from what not to expect. So, you know, Jamaica, I think the doctors need to be a little bit more sensitive to the patient and to what they're doing. Because sometimes I heard people say that if you're sick and you go to public, I better just tell yourself so you're go dead. So sometimes, if you have proper support system, both from your patient, the doctors themselves sometimes. So sometimes some doctors say a little word to you and it helps build up your spirit. But if a doctor goes sound like say you done dead, I tell you say you done dead already, like in that farmer way, it not give you no hope. Because you go to them for them to help you with your sickness, and when the mother give you like that in that type of way, don't give her really that much hope. So I don't think they're sensitive at all. Sometimes I say maybe they're stressed or them have too much patience to deal with, you know, but sometimes I don't really give her the excuse. Sometimes I have no confidence in Jamaica medical, whatever they have, but I never yet see myself having no confidence or in them, no.
There's another doctor which sometimes they go to, some people call him the obia man, the witchcraft man, because they feel that he might be able to do something to help them. And there's a little thing that a drowning man catch off any drown. But there is yet the real doctor now, and we call him the great physician, which is Jesus. And so there is the physical healing, you know, the healing by medical doctors, which take place through operation, take place with medication, take place through therapy, but there is no the spiritual healing.
It was more than devastating, but at some point I have to be strong for both her and my kids, because she and my oldest daughter, they were best friends too. So at that point I have to try not to lose it, or try not to show that type of fear to her, because I was still having hope despite the news that you know that you get. So it was just like this is just like devastating, and then it's at some point you have to try to be strong just for her. And she's always trying to be the strength of tower for everybody. So even in our deepest fear in life, she always put up her face like, I'll be fine, I'll be okay, just go and pray for me. That's always our word. Just trust in God and go and pray for me. I'm not gonna lie, but I can't remember during those times when she was sick, if she ever showed me a sense of fear. She always had this confidence, like, as I tell you before, she's a very independent person, so she don't want nobody to come around her and pity her like, oh, Jen, you're sick, and oh Lord. That would be like the worst thing you could ever do to her. She expects that when you when you tell her, when she gives you that news, you should just move on like it's like nothing. But I understand her to that level. So you know, I always just strive to put on her face, but there's my moments when I'm alone and I think about the whole entire thing. It's just too much sometimes.
As a preacher, my word is that our hope is in Christ, Jesus, the one who died on the cross, the one who shed his blood in order to give us what you call that deliverance. And across the world, there are pastors, evangelists, apostles, prophets, bishops, the persons, because it is not signed. Prayer is not a sign to just pastors, evangelists. But it is for the person who, and these days you hear about prayer warriors and you hear about intercessors. But you, if I was to, I carry a radio program live every Sunday. And if I was to open my program and ask people to call in who were sick, and because they were prayed for, they got their healing, you would hear a lot of people calling. If on a Sunday morning I was to ask persons in this church who have come to this altar for prayer and they ask if they got relief, they are those persons who will readily come and testify to say what God has done.
She loves to sit right here in the veranda with me and talk. We talk about a lot of stuff. She know me a joker from morning, so those are those my fun moments. Me and her have our moments and we sit down together, daughter and mother, friend and friend. And we talk about all sorts of crap. Just me and her, we chat. Sometimes me like go in the room and say, yo, Jenny, come walk with me now. And she walks. Sometimes I come knock her window, bam, bam. All the man get up out of your bed and see man light out and she like pull the door and come out and say to me, say, I want me to you, girl, you come inside with me so early for you think me I pay for my bed. And me say, come out, man. That's just not, well, like, that's just not like one moment, that's like everyday thing with me and her, just like that, you know. And if she like she go walk, because when at some point when she during her sickness, she loves to like I could see where sometimes she just want to feel like Jen, like I'm Jen today, I'm not sick, I'm just literally Jen today. I could see that sometime on her face, and she would come and say, walk with me now. I know that's one of her days when she like feel like I'm Jen. I remember after going through the sickness for days and weeks and months, one morning she wake up and she feel like herself, like this is Jen today. And she cook dinner. She cook her favorite dinner, rice and peas and fricasseed chicken. And she was so excited. She called everybody upon the phone and she tell them she was longing for that day, but she just feel like Jen. So it's not just one fun day, there's a lot, because that's basically how we live. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna say during my time as a child growing up with her, I have a lot of fun time, because she was always struggling, she was always depressed, she was always sad because of the struggles of taking care of us. So at this point in her life, she was over most of her struggles. She was just relaxing now and letting our kids them grow. So this was a time when we were bonding like a mother and daughter, sitting down on the veranda and just talking. So those was good time for me with her. just that. It was no, as I said, it's not no one day thing. It was like a everyday thing with her. So when she told me, because she comes in the night and she tell me that the doctors them couldn't do anything for her. I was sitting on the front of the night and I said, all right, tell me now, what the doctor them say now? What's the next best news now? And she said, I can't do nothing. That's the expression on her face, I can't forget. I told them, I can't do nothing. So I said, what does that mean? She said, I have to just stay there till I die. When she told me that the night, I literally feel like I was sinking. I was sitting on the lawn chair beside her and I literally feel like the lawn chair sink. And I sit down there for like a minute and she was sitting with her hand between her legs like that. She goes, so. And I said, excuse me, and I walk away from her and I go outside and I started to cry. I burst out in tears. I couldn't hold it. But I tried to encourage her and I said to her, I said, listen, that's what man says, not what God says. I remember coming back and said that to her. She said, she's not heard that to me. Yeah.
I remember the night she passed. That was the day after I came. And I remember she took a big breath because the air now inside her was only up in the chest here. So you could hear her breathe like a child who has asthma or a child fighting to breathe when they have cold. So it was just here. So it's just wheezing, 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 wheezing. And even through that, I was still praying, you know. And I remember when she took the big sigh, I run come out on this bench here, so, and sit down. And I was like, Auntie gone. Mark you, on my mother's side, we never got through a situation whereas we lose someone so close, you know. We never got through it, so it was like the first thing. It's like the first earthquake I run through the family on my mother's side, you know. And when I run come out here on this bench, I saw a friend who lived down here, live in that house right there, so. And I said to her, I said, Tamara, my auntie gone. And she hugged me, you know. And when I out here, a voice said to me, say, go in, man, you know. I'm going to go in. My auntie was still on the bed, dead.
Support from family and friends, it was excellent. It was overwhelming because my mom has a particular sister. All of her sisters are overseas, but there's one particular sister that lives here with her. And let me tell you, she came to look for it every Saturday. Every Saturday, she make it her point of duty to come to look for my mom. And one day, my mom called me and said to me, Gilan, Redhead now come, because we call her Redhead. Redhead now come. So I said, I call her and find out, man. At that point, I realized to myself that, wow, my mom really look out for these visitors Saturday from her auntie. She said, if my auntie can say, I don't have taxi fare, she said, tell her to come, me pay for her. She looks out for it with every fiber in her body. And when I saw that on her, I called my auntie and I said to my auntie, I said, listen, Mommy really appreciate this visit that you come. And I tell her thanks. I said, thank you. She looked forward for it. When she wake up on Saturday morning, it give her a little strength for know, say, one of her sister come in here to sit and chat with her. And they do enjoy each other's company. I had to tell my auntie, and I'm glad I get the chance to tell my auntie before my mom. You know, so it was good. And she have another sister that lives overseas that calls her oh my God, they talk on the phone for like hours. And you know what happened? That was the only sister she could tell the saddest thing.
Cancer is no joke, you know. To me, cancer is a demon that comes to kill and destroy. I don't know why there hasn't been a cure thus far for poor people, but they say poverty is a crime. And it's the worst crime that can be committed from a mother to a child. But then what can you do when the mother can't do nothing and have to have the child in poverty? You know? You have to just live with it and try make two ends meet. But cancer, if you're living with cancer, or you're not living with cancer, or you're on the verge of dying, there's always hope in faith.
She tell my auntie basically everything. She tell my auntie what she want to bury into. She tell my auntie what she expect of the rest of the brothers and sisters. It was just, she and her had that understanding, and my auntie understand her like that, and she understand what she was going through, and she helped my mother, she accepted with my mother what she was going through. That was one of my biggest things, denial. You could not tell me that my mother was going to die. That was like, I come to realize that I was living into denial all these months, and I only get like, what, 1 year after she found out that she has the colon cancer. So during that 1 year time span, I was in total denial of losing her. But my auntie, understand that with her, talk with her, my mom tell her basically everything. Whenever she come to me and she'd be like, sometimes she want to talk to me and she would say, when my time come, he'd be like, don't bother with that. I would always stop her before she could ever say anything else. And they said, what are you saying to me? It's sounding like you're giving up. Stop. At one point, I even get angry upon her. I was like, stop talking like that. And she sit there and between her leg, and she go, after I finished lashing out, she was like, you will see. You can't forget that. She was like, you will see. So, family, they were there with her. Through it all, they were there with her. She gets strong family support. Do your regular checkup. Whether you're male or female, it doesn't matter. I know males always tend to scare to visit your doctors, but just do your regular checkup. Whether it be pap smear, you check up your colon, your colonoscopy, whatever it is, just do your regular checkup. Sometimes we tend to say it's the money, but first and foremost, think about what is important. Your health should be your first priority, because if you, when your health is okay, then you can face fight tomorrow and go on and go on. So your health should be your first priority, right? And for persons who found out that they're living with stage 4 cancer, still follow your doctor. All that is very important in what you eat. It's very important with the people then that you have around you too, your support system, how strong it is too, that can help. And first and foremost, put God in the vessel and ride through your storm. Can't leave out that. None at all. So that would be some of my advice, watching my mom fight through stage 4 cancer to anybody at all.
The basis of a good, healthy Jamaican diet is one with lots of vegetables. And I'm talking about vegetables that we know, callaloo and tomatoes and some fruit. We want lots of color in the diet, and sometimes I talk about the rainbow diet because the various colors are due to particular chemical pigments which actually help in the fight against cancer. So we want lots of color. We want lean protein, very little saturated fat. We want healthy fats, things like nuts, very little cooking oil, but whichever oil you choose, the way in which that oil is prepared is important, things like nuts and avocado. We want legumes. That's a food group that we don't pay enough attention to, but they're a good source of complex carbohydrates as well as protein, and our good old Jamaican grown provisions and whole grains. That really is the basis for a healthful diet.
Hi everybody.